What makes final interviews different, and what are the 3 most common reasons why people fail? What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here with another video to help you get hired. Today we're going to be talking about how to smash your final interview. It's been one of our most requested videos over the past couple of months and I'm really excited to release this content today. We're going to be talking about what is a final interview, what are the differences between a final interview and a first round interview? What are the 3 reasons that I see why people fail over the time that I've been coaching and preparing people for interviews for jobs over the past 10 years? How to prepare step by step, and make sure you stick around until the end of this video when I'm going to talk to you about my 5 favorite questions to ask at the end of your interview. Now, if you're watching this and you've got an interview tomorrow, or you're struggling to think about how you're going to get ready for your interview, make sure you click the link down below for our brand new 17-minute Pass the Interview preparation crash course. Now, you might think, well, how the hell can I prep for an interview in 17 minutes? Well, the fact of the matter is that I've had over 5,000 people take one of my interview courses, and I've refined that knowledge from hours to an hour, and I've recently released it so it's jam-packed in 17 minutes with all the worksheets, everything that you need to research, script and practice your answers. So make sure you check that link down in the description below. So let's start off by talking about what is a final interview. Well, basically a final interview is the last interview before you get a job. Duh. Joking. So this will either come as the last of a couple of rounds of interviews. Sometimes you'll just get interviewed one-to-one. This tends to be more common for senior positions where you have a HR screening interview, and then maybe you interview with somebody in your department, then a manager, and maybe a partner or a director. And if you're a graduate watching this, more than likely you'll have a final interview as part of your assessment center, or this may be something which happens after the assessment center is done. And it's generally going to be with a manager, a director, or a partner. What we tend to find is this is the person who's really in charge of your department where you're going to be working, or your team. So what are the big differences between a first round interview, which is probably going to be a video interview, and a final interview? Well, really, there are 3. It's all about culture fit. So if you get through to a final interview, you're basically good enough to get the job. So if you're watching this and you've got a final interview, well done. Technically, you are capable enough to do the job. So now we're really trying to understand, are you going to fit into the culture? And this really fits into number 2, which is likability. So culture fit is really defined by the core values. Now, sometimes I realize when you look through core values, it might seem very samey, the language, but a lot of thought, money and effort has gone into forming a company identity, a company culture. And they want people who are going to exude that or be able to work into that. And basically, we're just checking you out to see if we like you, because you're going to be working within the team. And as anybody knows, if you're a professional watching this, you'll know that one bad apple can really ruin a division, a department, even an entire business. So likability is so important as part of a team. And the final thing that's kind of different is we're going to dig a little bit deeper about motivation. Do you really understand about this role? Do you understand about the industry, about the qualifications that you're going to sit? Do you understand the nuances if it's more of a technical role? Do you really have good client-facing skills? These are the things where someone's going to dig a little bit deeper and be coming at the problem from a level of much greater experience. Because of course, the difference between a video interview algorithm, somebody in HR, and a divisional director or partner is experience, is basically the years and years of knowledge of seeing lots of people coming and going and kind of going, yeah, that person's going to fit here. On paper, they look good, but actually, I just kind of know you're not going to fit here. So what are the 3 most common reasons why people fail partner interviews? And I can honestly tell you that this can be devastating. You've probably gone through months of jumping through multiple hoops. You're getting through to the final interview. The last thing that you want to do is fail. And I would say on average, when people get through to a final interview, I tend to say it's a flip of a coin. So I tend to say it's a 1 in 2 shot, really. And of course it depends on the day, it depends on the person, but like I said, you're good enough to do the job, and then it's sort of a 50-50 shot whether you're going to be good enough to get the job or not. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later when I sort of talk about the 5 questions that I really like to ask at the end of the interview, and also a sign that I see where I think you can definitely know that this interview is going well. So here are the 3 most common reasons. Number 1, a lack of commercial awareness. What I generally tend to find is, and I can distinctly remember, this was the first partner interview I ever prepped somebody for. She was going for a PwC final interview for audit, and she had no understanding about audit itself, about the qualification, or really what happened in the industry. On paper, she was a phenomenal candidate. She came from a top university. She had the grades. But when the partner kind of said, well, why audit? What specifically about audit interests you? What are you interested about with the ACA qualification? She just completely fell to pieces, and she was devastated, because if she just put in a little bit of extra work, she would have really been able to answer a little bit more, not just about the qualification, but just reading a basic industry news website like Accountancy Age. She would have had a bit of a better understanding about how to answer this question. Number 2 is being unable to relax and have a conversation. So what you'll tend to find is, imagine if you're sitting there with a partner, a director or a manager. This is somebody who's super busy. They really don't have a lot of time. And I can certainly talk from personal experience being a business owner and also being a COO at a different company. When I sit down for an interview with someone, you're probably the 20th person that I've seen that day. I'm busy. I'm already thinking about what I've got to do next. I kind of very quickly want to make the distinction and think, this person seems good, this person doesn't seem good. Generally, I would sit down with another manager because I'm just doing final sign off about whether we want to bring them onto that respective team. Now, if I like you, then I want to be able to start to engage you in conversation. Why? Because I'm just taking a load off. I just want to get to know you personally a little bit more. And what I tend to find is a common reason why people would foul is just they're too robotic. I mean, you're going to be nervous. You're really anxious, right? There's a lot riding on you passing this interview, but this is a very good sign. If I or a senior manager or somebody like that is trying to engage you in conversation, then really, I want you to relax. I want you to relax and tell me a little bit more about yourself. I want to know about sort of where you're from, what you've done, what you like, what you don't like. And a lot of times when people are unable to relax and they'll just kind of give yes, no answers or be really nervous, because ultimately, always remember, the person on the other side of the table, the phone, the video call, they're just a human just like you. Different status, different power structure, different hierarchy, but they're still just a person like you, and they just want to get to know you a little bit better. And the third reason why people fail, I kind of alluded to it in the first reason, which was really just not having a good enough understanding of the role and what you're going to be doing. Now remember, you're going to be sitting in front of somebody who's probably one of the most experienced people that you could work with within your respective department that you're applying to. So they're going to want to know that you've made a little bit of an effort. You know, do you know about the qualification that you're going to be studying for? Do you know about the software that we use? Do you know about what's happening in the industry? What some recent regulatory changes have been? Are you interested in what's going on in general? So a story that really comes to mind for me is whenever I prepped people to go and work in sales and trading in the front office of investment banks, my first question to them would be really simple. What's your favorite stock? What stock would you advise that I invest in, and why? Because I wanted to understand, is that person genuinely interested in the financial markets, or are they really just kind of blinded by, you know, the light and thinking about, you know, London being paved with gold? And if they couldn't answer this question, I'm like, dude, either you really want to pick up the pace in terms of your business and commercial awareness, or you want to be really honest with yourself and say that front office investment banking is not for you. So here's a couple of steps to prepare if you're getting ready for a final interview. Make sure that you've researched the role, in particular the skills that are required for that role, any bonus skills, any additional experience that they're looking for, and that you've got good examples that you can use to demonstrate those skills. You're going to be talking to somebody who really isn't going to want to hear any waffling. If you say, yeah, I've got great numerical skills, their next question is going to be, why? According to what? Like, what have you done? It's like if you went for a sales interview, or you're interviewing for, say, a recruitment consulting position, and say, oh, I've got really great sales. The next question I'm going to ask you is, cool, how much have you sold? What have you sold? When have you sold? I'm going to want some facts and figures. I'm going to want more than just your opinion. Make sure you read up about what qualifications you might have to take, what that entails, and also the company itself, and really being prepared. I definitely recommend reading their blogs, their news, their white papers, anything they've released recently. Now, you don't have to know everything, but knowing something is going to set you aside from your competitors. Finally, make sure that you have read a little bit of industry news. What's going on in the audit industry, the finance industry, the banking, consulting, whatever it is. All you need to look for is consulting industry news. Go and sign up for a newsletter or go and read about the latest news, because that's what they're living. That's their experience day to day, what they're going through. And they're going to be interested to talk about it, and they're going to be pleased if you've put a little bit more effort. Bearing in mind, everything that I've just said is not standard prep. It's to go above and beyond and be one of the two that makes it, rather than, yeah, they seemed good, but I just don't feel that they're hungry enough, or they really understand it, or they really, I feel like they're good on paper. Now, a good kind of distinction to make is, why is it that maybe somebody will be chosen and somebody won't be chosen if they're not that different? And actually for me, it's a really simple reason. Personally, having hired, I don't know, about 40 different people, I just think, is this person proactive? Are they keen? Are they enthusiastic? Am I gonna have to spend a lot of time mollycoddling them and looking after them? Or are they gonna be like, yep, I know what I need to do. So therefore, when they come to me with a problem, they'll have tried to solve it themselves. That is generally the root of what I'm kind of thinking about when I'm making a decision about hiring. So finally, if you've stuck around up till this point, thank you very much. I'm going to talk to you about 5 questions that I really love to ask an interviewer at the end. Good questions at the end really stick in an interviewer's mind. I can still remember years ago trying to hire a sales manager, got to the end of the interview and I said, do you have any questions for me? And to be honest with you, I already had my phone open and I was checking the emails that I'd missed during the interview. And she said to me, actually, I do. Where do you see, the business is growing really strongly, where do you see the business in the next 12 to 18 months? And I think we had that business about 15 people and we were doing high 6 figures by then per year. And I was like, oh, that's a good question actually. And I was thinking about our strategy for the year and the plans that I'd laid out for the business. And we talked about it for about 5 minutes. Now, based upon a completely unrelated reason, we didn't end up hiring her for that job. But even now, 5, 6 years later, she still sticks in my mind. Really good questions that make people think are gonna make you memorable, and being memorable is important. So here are 5 great questions that will make the interviewer remember you. What's the best piece of career advice you've ever gotten? What can I go home and start learning today to help me in this job? What's the biggest challenge you think the business faces this year? What's the most exciting client or project you've worked on recently? What's something you wish you started doing 5 years ago? Now, I love these questions because they really make you think. It's something that if I was asked any of these questions, I'd really have to think, and this creates a pattern interrupt. So basically it breaks that person out of what they're doing and then they're in the just general workflow, and it makes them go, what is the best piece of career advice that I've got? And they're having to scan their memory, and it makes an impression. And I can guarantee you, if you ask one of these questions, or just a sort of deep and searching question, because this is a great opportunity to learn from somebody who is potentially where you want to be in X years time. So it's a good chance for you to learn. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video about the final interview. Like I said, if you're really struggling and you're thinking, I really need to get prepared today, make sure you check out the 17-minute interview preparation crash course. Let me know how we did in this video. What other videos would you like us to make? Was this helpful, useful? Have you used this video to pass your final interview? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I wish you the best of luck. See you later.